Commander John Avery's heart pounded as the airlock sealed with a hiss, marking the first time a human would set foot on the Zalari space station. As the lead scientist for the United Earth Space Agency, his mission was not only to foster diplomatic relations, but to exchange knowledge with the Zalari, a race that humanity had only recently contacted. Their technology was advanced, their culture enigmatic, and their biology, well, it was about to become much less of a mystery. The inner doors slid open with a smooth, silent glide, revealing the Zalari delegation. They were taller than humans, their skin a shimmering silver, and eyes wide and expressive, reflecting a spectrum of colors that changed with their mood. Standing in front of them, John felt an odd mixture of awe and anxiety. "Welcome, Commander Avery," said the Zalari ambassador, a gentle lilt to her voice. Her name was Lirea, and her eyes glowed a soft blue, a sign of peace, John recalled from the briefings. "Thank you, Ambassador Lirea. It's an honor to be here," John replied, his voice steady despite the butterflies in his stomach. As formal greetings concluded, John followed the ambassador into the heart of the station. The hallways were lined with holographic displays of various celestial phenomena and Zalari achievements in science. It was like walking through a living museum, each exhibit more fascinating than the last. After a brief tour, they arrived at the conference room, where human and Zalari scientists were eager to start their collaboration. However, the meeting took an unexpected turn when a young Zalari scientist named Neri, whose eyes flickered curiously with vibrant greens and yellows, approached John during a break. "Commander Avery, may I inquire something personal?" Neri asked, her tone indicating a mixture of curiosity and a slight nervousness. John nodded. "Of course, Neri. What's on your mind?" It was then that Neri gestured to a lower part of his body, specifically his groin area. "I am curious about the human body. Why is that thing between your legs growing?" The room fell silent. John's face flushed red as he realized what she was referring to. The Zalari, it seemed, were very direct. Well, John stammered, searching for the right words. He was unprepared for this kind of biological discussion, especially one that centered around such a sensitive subject. Seeing his discomfort, Neri's eyes shifted to a calming shade of violet. "I apologize if my question causes distress. In Zalari culture, we value directness and clarity in all forms of inquiry." John cleared his throat. "No, it's all right. It's just that, in human culture, this topic is usually more private. But since you asked, it's a natural biological response, part of our reproductive system. It's complicated." Neri nodded, her eyes now a fascinated shade of amber. "I see. It is different from us. May I learn more? For scientific purposes, of course." John considered this. It was his job to bridge the gap between human and Zalari understanding. If this was a part of it, then so be it. "Sure," John agreed, deciding it might be best to approach this scientifically. "Let's schedule a time for a more detailed discussion on human biology. We can prepare some materials that are informative and appropriate." "Excellent. I am eager to learn more about our differences and similarities," Neri said, her enthusiasm evident. As they returned to the conference room, John couldn't help but chuckle to himself. This mission was proving to be more interesting than he had anticipated. He was here to teach and to learn, and clearly, the Zalari were just as eager to understand humans as humans were to understand them. As John prepared for the upcoming detailed session on human biology, he found himself drawn deeper into the daily workings of the Zalari space station. Each corridor and module was a testament to Zalari ingenuity, equipped with technology that manipulated gravity and manipulated time, making their research in astrophysics and bioengineering light years ahead of Earth's current capabilities. In the lab, Neri showed John a device that could isolate and display the atomic structure of living tissue. "We use this for precise medical interventions and to tailor our physical forms to better suit environmental needs," she explained, her fingers dancing over the holographic controls. John, intrigued, saw an opportunity. "Could it show us the hormonal responses in human physiology? It might help in explaining earlier misunderstandings." Neri's eyes lit up with the color of curiosity. A vibrant teal. Yes, it should provide us with a clear view. As they set up the equipment, John donned a suit that resembled a lightweight medical scanner, feeling slightly self-conscious as sensors adhered to his skin. Neri watched the readouts, her expression focused yet respectful. Your adrenaline levels rose when asked about your reproductive system. It's linked with what you described as embarrassment, Neri noted, deciphering the data. Yes, it's a common human response in situations of discomfort or stress, John elaborated, pleased to turn their earlier awkward encounter into a teachable moment. Meanwhile, in another part of the station, Dr. Helen Zhao, another member of the human delegation, was engaged in a different type of exchange. She and a Zalari engineer named Threx were knee-deep in schematics for a device that could potentially reverse the degradation of planetary ecosystems. The technology was promising, combining Zalari advancements in nanotechnology with human understanding of ecological balance. As John and Neri wrapped up their session, they received an invitation from Threx and Helen. They joined them in the engineering bay, where a prototype of their environmental restoration device hummed softly, a greenish glow emanating from its core. This could change how we manage Earth's climate crises, Helen said, her voice tinged with a mix of hope and determination. Threx, whose skin shimmered with a reflective hue indicating pride, nodded. And it could enhance our terraforming projects. The synergy between our technologies is fascinating. As the team discussed potential applications, Neri reviewed the data from John's biological readings. There are layers of complexity in human emotional responses. It's much more nuanced than I realized, she mused. John smiled, realizing how much they were learning from each other. It goes both ways. What we've seen today, from medical technology to environmental solutions, it's reshaping my understanding of what's possible. The day concluded with the group viewing a simulation of their device in action, rejuvenating a dead patch of land on a holographic Earth. The implications were profound, sparking discussions on ethics, responsibility, and the shared future of their civilizations. As John returned to his quarters, the station orbiting silently in the void of space, he reflected on the day's events. Each interaction, each shared discovery brought them closer to a mutual understanding, not just of technology, but of each other as sentient beings navigating the vast universe together. The exchange was more than scientific. It was a fusion of perspectives, a mingling of minds that transcended the physical and delved into the essence of their very beings. The following morning, the space station seemed to buzz with an electric anticipation. A new module had been attached overnight, a Zalari-designed observatory with a viewport that provided a panoramic view of the nebula they were studying. Neri invited John to witness the first activation of the observatory's main instrument, a quantum telescope capable of peering into the very edges of the observable universe. As they stood before the giant curved window, the stars seemed to stretch and swirl as the telescope bent the fabric of space-time to capture ancient photons from distant galaxies. We can see the birth of stars, watch planets forming in real time, Neri explained, her voice filled with wonder. John, mesmerized by the celestial dance before him, felt a profound connection to the universe and to the Zalari sharing this moment with him. It's incredible, he breathed out, like looking back through time itself. Their moment of cosmic awe was interrupted by an urgent communique from Earth. The United Earth Space Agency had detected anomalous signals emanating from a nearby uncharted system, suggesting the presence of another, possibly hostile, alien civilization. The message requested John's immediate strategic counsel. Turning away from the telescope, John and Neri hurried back to the conference room where Helen and Threx were waiting, the former looking worried. We need to assess the threat, Helen stated, and decide our next move. The last thing we need is a conflict in space. Neri's input was crucial. Her understanding of interstellar politics and her calm demeanor helped to frame the situation not just as a potential conflict, but as an opportunity for diplomacy, and possibly extending their collective reach in peaceful exploration. The group decided to deploy a stealth probe to the system, utilizing Zalari cloaking technology combined with human sensor arrays. As Threx and a team of engineers prepared the probe, John and Neary delved into strategy discussions, examining various scenarios and potential responses based on the probe's findings. Days passed as they awaited the data. During this time, John learned more about Zalari culture, their philosophy, and their art, which often depicted the universe not as a place of chaos, but as a canvas of endless possibilities. Neary showed John the Hall of Harmony, a gallery of luminescent paintings that changed hues and patterns based on the ambient sounds and thoughts of its viewers. Finally, the probe's data streamed in, revealing not a hostile force, but a lost colony of Zalari, thought destroyed in a cosmic storm centuries ago. The colony was alive, thriving in isolation, unaware of the galactic community around them. The revelation shifted the mood on the station from one of apprehension to one of celebration and relief. Plans were quickly drawn up for a mission to reconnect with the lost colony, a joint venture that would now include John as an ambassador of both Earth and the collaborative spirit that had come to define his time among the stars. As preparations for the mission began, John reflected on the unexpected turns his assignment had taken. From awkward first encounters to the brink of a potential interstellar crisis, each challenge had brought with it a deeper understanding and a closer bond with his Zalari counterparts. Now, as they stood on the brink of reuniting a lost civilization with the galaxy at large, John realized that this mission might very well redefine humanity's place in the cosmos, not as mere explorers or diplomats, but as integral members of a vibrant, interconnected galactic community. The mission to the lost Zalari colony, dubbed Project Reunion, was set to launch from the Zalari space station. As John and the team finalized their preparations, the atmosphere was thick with a mix of excitement and solemnity. This was more than just a diplomatic venture. It was a homecoming, a healing of ancient wounds. The spacecraft designated for the mission was the Harmony Seeker, a vessel that exemplified the pinnacle of Zalari engineering and human technological contributions. Its engines were capable of bending space-time, allowing for near-instantaneous travel across light years, while its communication systems were enhanced to bridge the vast distances with unprecedented clarity. As they approached the coordinates of the lost colony, the crew was tense, monitoring every frequency for any sign of the colonists. The planet, hidden within a nebula, slowly emerged from the cosmic mist, revealing a world teeming with vibrant life and cities that sparkled against the backdrop of lush green continents and deep blue oceans. Neary, standing beside John at the observation deck, pointed towards a particularly large structure that resembled a beacon. "That's likely their central hub, possibly for governance or ceremony. It's customary for our lost colonies to build such beacons to signal their presence, though this one has been silent until now." The Harmony Seeker sent out a greeting in ancient Zalari dialects, curated with the help of cultural experts from the space station. The response was immediate and jubilant. The lost colony had not forgotten their roots, though they had adapted their language and customs to their new world. The excitement of the colonists at re-establishing contact after centuries of isolation was palpable, even through the digital transmissions. Landing protocols were initiated, and the Harmony Seeker touched down near the beacon. John, Neary, Helen, and Threx were part of the first contact team, dressed in ceremonial robes that paid homage to ancient Zalari traditions, a gesture of respect and unity. The greeting party from the colony was a vibrant procession of Zalari, adorned in attire that was a blend of their ancient culture and new evolutionary adaptations to their planet. Their leader, a charismatic elder named Venra, embraced Ambassador Lyria and spoke heartfelt words of gratitude and surprise. "To think, after all this time, the stars have not forgotten us." Discussions moved to the grand hall of the beacon, where the colonists shared tales of their survival, the challenges they faced, and the new society they had built. Their technology had diverged from mainstream Zalari tech, adapted to harness the unique resources of their planet. Their advances in bioengineering were particularly impressive, having developed symbiotic relationships with the planet's flora and fauna, which aided in agriculture and medicine. John presented Earth's technologies and shared stories of humanity's own challenges and triumphs. The discussions led to agreements of exchange, knowledge, culture, and resources. It was a new chapter for both the lost colony and the wider galactic community, rooted in shared experiences and mutual respect. As the mission concluded, plans were laid for a permanent liaison office on the planet, with representatives from both the Zalari government and Earth. John volunteered to stay as one of the first interstellar ambassadors, eager to bridge the gap between the colony and the galaxy. The Harmony Seeker departed, leaving behind a team of diplomats, scientists, and historians to continue the work started by this historic meeting. John, watching the ship disappear into the stars, felt a profound connection to his new home. Here, among the stars and the descendants of explorers like himself, he was not just an envoy from a distant world, but a member of a newly reunited family standing together at the edge of new discoveries. Life on the newly rediscovered Zalari colony was a rich tapestry of ancient customs intertwined with New Age adaptations. As an ambassador, John found each day filled with learning and diplomatic nuances that shaped his understanding of both Zalari and human capabilities in a shared universe. The liaison office quickly became a hub of activity. John, along with a team of Zalari and human experts, worked tirelessly to catalog the technological innovations of the colony, which had evolved independently from both Earth and the Zalari mainstream. Their bioengineering techniques, in particular, were revolutionary, offering new ways to address food scarcity and disease back on Earth. Meanwhile, Neri took on the role of cultural ambassador, organizing exchanges that went beyond technology and politics. She introduced the colonists to human art forms, music, literature, and cinema, which captivated the local populace with their emotional depth and storytelling. Conversely, the colonists shared their own art, a form of living sculpture that used genetically modified plants that moved and changed form in response to environmental stimuli. One day during a session at the liaison office, Venra approached John with a proposal that reflected their growing trust. "We have long sought to explore beyond our system, but lacked the means. With your technology and our knowledge of sustainable ecosystems, perhaps we could build a vessel capable of interstellar travel, one that could serve as a model for future expeditions." The project, dubbed the ecoexplorer, was ambitious. It would combine human propulsion technology with Zalari bioadaptive systems, creating a ship that could sustain itself through long voyages by recycling and renewing its internal environment using living ecosystems. Construction began with a spirit of camaraderie that had become the hallmark of this new alliance. Teams of engineers and scientists from both societies collaborated, bringing together different ideas and methods to tackle the immense challenge. As the ship took shape, it became a symbol of their united vision for the future. During the construction, John learned of a unique Zalari festival that celebrated the alignment of their home planet's moons, a rare event that happened once every few decades. The festival was a vibrant affair, with light shows reflecting off the colony's many water bodies, and floating gardens filled the air with sweet fragrances. It was a celebration of harmony with nature, and John was deeply moved by the experience. The ecoexplorer was completed in time to coincide with the festival's climax. Its launch was attended by dignitaries from across the galaxy, including high-ranking officials from Earth. The ship's maiden voyage would be a short one, to the edge of the nebula and back, but its real journey would be much grander. A voyage to Earth, carrying a delegation from the colony to meet with United Earth leaders. As the ship launched, its sleek bio-integrated hull reflecting the light of the twin moons, John felt a profound sense of accomplishment. This was more than just a ship. It was a testament to what could be achieved when diverse worlds united under a banner of peace and exploration. With the eco-explorer now voyaging through space, John's role as an ambassador took on new significance. He was not just a bridge between Earth and a single colony, but a pivotal figure in a growing network of interstellar relationships. His work, once focused on science and diplomacy, now expanded to include advocacy for a coalition of planets, each with its own unique contributions to a collective future. As the festival wound down and the first reports of the eco-explorer's successful test run came in, John prepared for the next phase of his mission. With a galaxy of possibilities ahead, he was ready to help lead humanity into a broader, more integrated universe. Amidst the successes and celebrations, An undercurrent of change was palpable across the galaxy. The launch of the ecoexplorer had ignited a renewed interest in deep space collaboration and exploration, signaling a shift in interstellar priorities. Yet, as with all periods of rapid progress, new challenges surfaced, testing the resilience and unity of the newfound alliances. Reports began arriving at the liaison office, disturbances at the fringes of known space, where unauthorized mining operations were disrupting local ecosystems and threatening newly formed diplomatic ties. The perpetrators were from a consortium of rogue traders and industrialists from various planets, including Earth, exploiting uncharted territories without regard for local regulations or the ecological repercussions. John, deeply invested in the principles of sustainable exploration that had been established, saw this as a critical threat to the harmony between civilizations. He convened an emergency meeting with leaders from the Zalari colony, Earth, and other affected worlds. The goal was clear: to create a unified response that would enforce peace and respect for all planetary environments. The discussions were intense and fraught with differing opinions on how to balance economic interests with ecological and social responsibilities. Neri and Venra, representing the Zalari, advocated for strict protections and the establishment of an interstellar regulatory body. John supported this, proposing that the ecoexplorer could serve as a mobile enforcement and research platform, monitoring and ensuring compliance across systems. As they forged their plan, the ecoexplorer returned from its inaugural mission, its crew reporting a successful journey and confirming the ship's capabilities. Inspired by this, the Assembly agreed to expand the ship's role to include peacekeeping and environmental monitoring tasks. This decision marked the birth of the Interstellar Conservation Alliance, ICA, a coalition with the authority to act across planetary borders to protect and preserve. John was appointed as one of the lead envoys for the ICA, tasked with negotiating treaties and overseeing their implementation. His first assignment was to address the rogue consortium, requiring diplomatic finesse and a firm stance on the new laws. The meetings were tough, but eventually the consortium agreed to cease their disruptive activities and submit to ICA oversight, influenced by the widespread support John had rallied among their home planets. With this victory, the ICA quickly grew in influence and capability. The eco-explorer was joined by other ships, each staffed by a mix of human and Zalari crews, symbolizing the cooperative spirit that now characterized interstellar relations. Months turned into years, and John's role took him to many corners of the galaxy, each mission adding to his understanding of the complex tapestry of interstellar societies. Through it all, he maintained his ties to the Zalari colony, returning often to the planet that had become his second home. One such return coincided with another alignment of the planet's moons, mirroring the festival that had celebrated the eco-explorer's launch years earlier. This time, however, the festival had a new significance. It was a celebration of the peace and ecological balance that the ICA had helped to foster. John stood beside Neri and Venra, watching the light shows and the jubilant faces of the colonists and visitors alike. As the festival's lights danced across the night sky, reflecting off the peaceful waters, John felt a deep satisfaction. Here, under the glow of the moons and surrounded by friends and allies, he saw the tangible results of their efforts. A galaxy not only connected by technology and trade, but bonded by a shared commitment to safeguard its future. The universe, with all its infinite mysteries and possibilities, seemed a little smaller that night, as if each star was a point of light in a vast network of hope and cooperation, each shining brightly for the future they were all building together.